Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first installment of Oscar Film Forecast. This is going to be a show where me and a guest go over our Oscar predictions for the upcoming ceremony, which this year is in 2021 in April. And this time, I'm going to remember to introduce my guest, who is Ben Campbell.
Hello, thank you for introducing me.
Yes, no, not an issue at all, really. Should have done it last time too, but this is going to be a series leading up to the next ceremony next April, and we're only going to be doing installments right now, probably every few months, because it's so hard to predict right now. As we get closer, we'd probably do it more often if there's still going to be a ceremony. And each episode is going to be focused on a singular category and our predictions for those categories. And there's no better category to start off than with the biggest top prize of all, Best Picture, which we're gonna have our top 8 or so movies and then a few honorable mentions. So let's get into our honorable mentions. First, we want to go off with one of yours. So we'll go back and forth, and once we do the honorable mentions, then like you'll do my 8, or you'll do your 8, my 8, so on.
Cool, sounds good.
Okay, cool.
So do you want me to go first, yeah?
Yeah, one of your honorable mentions first.
Okay, so my first honorable mention is a huge wild card because I'm not sure how heavily the Academy is going to lean into having black representation in its catalogue of films. Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't. Well, for now, I'm saying that Candyman has a shot at making Best Picture.
Oh, really? Yeah. That's an interesting prediction. I wasn't even thinking of that, but the timeliness could really factor into that.
Yeah, especially considering what Candyman is, what the legend is. The director, Nia DaCosta, who you might see pop up somewhere else. What she's been able to do with the publicity for the film has been very interesting. So I think Candyman is definitely in the conversation, but that's why it's an honorable mention. It's only in the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a good choice. I didn't even think of that one.
I like it. Yeah.
It could be Get Out-esque.
Yeah, exactly. It's just genre films are really hard to sell the Academy on.
Yeah,
so
they
that's
have
the only reason.
Message.
Okay, so what's your other honorable mention? What's your first one?
My first one is Next Goal Wins. It's Taika Waititi's next film. It follows very pretty much. There was a documentary about them, like a soccer team who was pretty horrible. But it's more about how they became a team than it's about them winning. And it's gonna be a Taika Waititi film, so it's really unknown whether or not it will fit the Academy's style. But he did just win an Oscar, so I think he has a good shot of getting in there. But there also aren't a lot of sports films that get nominated for Best Picture. The Titans did a lot of sports-focused films don't get nominations, but also I have a feeling going to be a feel-good film, like a happy film, which the Academy may want to honor more this year than other years. That's happening, but I don't think right now it has a great shot of getting in, but I definitely think it's a contender.
In my eye, it's like if I, Tonya, can't get a nomination for Best Picture when it probably should have won Best Picture that year. I know that's probably not popular to say. People went crazy for stuff like Lady Bird, but in my opinion, I, Tonya should have won Best Picture that year, and it couldn't even get nominated. Phantom Thread got nominated over I, Tonya. So I think the last big sports movie was $1 Million Baby, right? Blindside. No, it was Blindside.
Blindside, yes, that did get nominated. Did Moneyball get nominated? I forget.
Oh, it could have. I actually think it did.
Jonah Hill got nominated. That's all I remember.
Yeah, Jonah Hill definitely got nominated. I'm not sure about. I think it actually did. But it definitely didn't win.
Yeah, no, it definitely didn't. But Could be a contender, yeah. So what's one of your next honorable mentions?
So my last honorable mention is Red, White, and Water. I just think it gives off an Uncut Gems vibe. It's from A24. And I know that Uncut Gems did not get any Oscars, which was ridiculous. It didn't get any nominations. Got no nominations for the BAFTAs, Golden Globes, anywhere. But the twist here is that Jennifer Lawrence and Brian Tyree Henry are way more respected than Adam Sandler, which is, just a shame. That's just the way it works. And there's also a female director attached to this movie. So that always, we say it helps, and then they go ahead and they don't nominate any of them.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
It's hard to predict what the Academy is going to do, but I think that Red, White, and Water, just like, I forget what the name of the Taika Waititi movie is now at this point, but I think it's similar in the conversation, but that all depends on if it actually releases. I'm not sure if it's going to or not.
Yeah, a lot of these films don't have like for real signified release dates. Like probably gonna release sometime.
There's a ton of movies like that Jessica Chastain TV movie and like that Frances McDormand, Chloe Zhao movie that like they're slated, but I mean, come on, like are they actually slated? It like kind of find out more in the fall, but since this isn't a typical fall, we're not really gonna know.
Yeah, no, we aren't. I have a few honorable mentions, but I'll go through them quickly. So one is On the Rocks, which is Sofia Coppola's next film. It's Apple TV's going to be distributing it. And it's really this year, I think they're only big. I don't think Greyhound's going to be a big Oscar contender. Probably going to be the main film that they push. It has Bill Murray in it. I don't really know exactly what it's about, but I think they'll probably, just because Apple has a lot of money, and like Netflix, when they first started out, want to get more credibility. Yeah. They'll probably spend a good amount of money campaigning this one. So I think
with that one thing though is that when Netflix first tried to get in the game with Mudbound and Okja in like 2017, they could only get Mudbound in there, and Okja was one of the best movies of 2017. Okay. So I think we'll really know if Apple TV is able to pull off an awards campaign if they're able to get Defending Jacob any Emmys or Golden Globes.
Yeah.
That'll test them.
That would be a good test round. I think they have a lot more contenders in the TV space right now too. They don't have a ton of movies. But one of my other ones is News of the World. It's about Tom Hanks, who's pretty much like this dude delivering news to people, and he has to save someone's daughter or something. It's from what's his name, Paul Greengrass, who has an amount of Academy history, and also it has Tom Hanks in it. So I think, especially since he's like the face of the coronavirus right now, it could boost the film a little bit. But I don't know about that one. And my final honorable mention is Soul, Pixar's new upcoming animated film. I think it's going to be a lot like Installment, which I have a feeling was like the number 10 or 11 spot when that year for Best Picture. It probably just missed out. Also from the director of Up, which is one of the few animated films too that Best Picture. And it seems like a very emotional and I don't know, probably a good movie. So I think if there's less competition, it has a good shot of getting it. Yeah.
With Soul, the only reason that I haven't put it on here is that I only see a certain number of big movies releasing in 2020 and 2021 before the deadline. And that would be stuff like, I think the only movies that have a shot at opening are Wonder Woman 1984, Tenet, and Dune, and maybe something like The New Mutants if they're lucky they can squeak in there. Everything else I see booting to 2021. So that's why I didn't put Soul, because I know we said that we would include films that are still slated, but Soul just seems so unlikely to come out at this point that I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I wonder if they do boot it, if they boot it into a place in 2021 where it would still qualify. They try and squeeze it in February or something.
They could give it Eternal's date.
They could, yeah.
But maybe Black Widow wants to take that, but that's just an entirely different conversation than the one we're having right now.
That is, yeah. So what's your number 8?
Okay, so my number 8 is going to be Stillwater. You know that it's a Matt Damon movie where it's from the director Todd McCarthy, I think is his name, and he directed Spotlight.
Yeah.
One which miraculously the most least interesting film nominated that year was won Best Picture. So I think I'm just obligated to mention him because he pulled off a miracle there, and so maybe he'll do it the same thing here. It sounds kind of interesting. It sounds a lot like Defending Jacob, actually, and he has to go to France, Marseille or something, and he has to try and clear his daughter's name because she was accused of murder. And that just sounds like an awards type movie, and I think it could be big.
I think isn't Abigail, I forget how to say her last name, Breslin or something.
Breslin, Abigail Breslin.
Yes, I think she was not. She's been nominated for an Oscar, right? For Little Miss Sunshine.
Little Miss Sunshine, yeah.
Yeah, so she's also Academy actor. So I think that has a good shot of getting in. Did it have a specific release date, or was it just 2020 at some point?
I think it's in November.
November.
Yeah.
So we'll see. That could be. I could see that one going to the. I don't think it costs much.
Okay, go ahead. Your shot.
Okay. Next up for me, or at number 8, is The French Dispatch, Wes Anderson's upcoming film, which now has a new date. But yes, they delayed it. Sadly.
No, I know it was delayed, but was it given a new date before February 28th? I didn't put it on any of my list because I didn't think it was going to come out.
It was they did the same thing with it that they did with Mulan, delayed indefinitely, so they just didn't.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's just throw The French Dispatch in my honorable mentions then, because it'll probably get.
But I think Wes Anderson, his earlier films weren't really that got much Academy recognition, but Grand Budapest Hotel did, which is really his most recent film. I don't count Isle of Dogs, but I think depending on how good the film is, and if it's a little too wacky for the Academy, they might not nominate it. But it's Wes Anderson's described it as like a love letter to journalism, and there's been a lot of journalism and stuff this past year, so maybe the Academy will want to honor something about proper journalism or something. And it's a Wes Anderson film, and it has a great Oscar darling-filled cast members. So I think it has a good shot getting in there.
A lot of people in that movie.
There's a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I think that it could be big. I don't know. I kind of see it maybe not happening at all.
Yeah.
But I think it could either like really happen or it could really not happen. I think it could go either way.
I think it's very black and white with this movie. It could either be a big contender or just forgotten.
Yeah, and it's also literally in black and white, isn't it?
I think some parts are. It's and like some aspect ratios change throughout it, so it's very hard.
Yeah. Well, my number 7, and if I'm being honest, I'm only putting this on here because it's so dry, and I think that this film actually has zero chance. Although you never know, because the subject matter, it could have looked out with the subject matter. So that would be Aaron Sorkin's Trial of the Chicago 7.
Yeah.
And the reason I don't think that this is going to get any nominations is because Molly's Game didn't get any nominations, and that was the first one he directed. And that movie really only served the script with its directing. It really needs to up his visual style.
Yeah.
But with the pictures that came out, it does not look like he has upped his visual style. He has just upped his cast. Sorry, Jessica Chastain and Idris Elba. I love you, but you know what this cast is when it comes to getting recognition. So I think the cast could power it, but I think that Aaron Sorkin's dreaming if he thinks he's going to get a director nomination. And I think it's strong, maybe in acting, but I don't have it in acting either. So this is really just a film I'm putting on here because the subject matter. It's like it was like the first uprising at a Democratic convention or something. I think it's a pretty interesting idea for a film. So it could work out. It could be big, but I don't know.
I have that one actually at my number 3.
Okay. So you think it's going to work out?
I think it is. I agree with you that the photos didn't look that great. A lot of like the costumes and like wigs looked kind of fake to me. But it has like a great ensemble cast, which pretty much guarantees it. Probably like one acting nomination, probably in a supporting role, and probably like this SAG ensemble nomination. Screenplay nomination is pretty much a lock because it's important.
Yeah.
And it's centered around, like you said, like protests against the Vietnam War, and it like takes place very soon after Martin Luther King's assassination. And apparently, Yaya, his character, is one of the protesters, and I think he's like the only black one of the main Chicago 7, and he gets treated very differently, so it can be timely in that way. So I think it has a very good shot of getting in there, especially since it also depends. I think he'll make a good film. Like Molly's Game was good. I don't know how the visuals. I don't know, but it could still get in there without its cinematography being great, I think.
Yeah, the one thing that I want to say though is that when you said Yaya, for my actor spot, I actually for a while there did have. I was considering putting Yahya Abdul-Mateen II in my best actor spot because he just looks to be doing a Daniel Kaluuya level job in Candyman. So it could be Yahya's year. I would love that because I think he's a fantastic actor.
He is, yes, and he did he get nominations for Watchmen or no? I don't think he did.
I think the Emmy nominations are coming in for that soon. I think it's qualifying for the upcoming ones for like miniseries. So fingers crossed, because fingers crossed for Regina King too.
Yeah, definitely Regina. So at my 7, I had Nomadland. Chloe, I always know her last name. Chloe Zhao's next film with Frances McDormand in the leading role. It's about like a woman in her 60s who's like lost pretty much everything in the Great Recession, and is pretty much becomes a nomad, like trying to find her purpose in life. So it sounds like probably a meaty performance role for Frances McDormand, and with Chloe Zhao, who got a lot of acclaim for her other film. I think it's called The Writer. She, I think she'll probably make a great film just because she seems like she's a great director. And if Eternals hits that February date, which we can hope for, but who knows, that would mean that her name would be around a lot, especially during that awards season. You're hearing a lot about her because she's the director of an upcoming Marvel film, and Disney, who owns Fox, is distributing the film. And
yeah.
Very invested.
I definitely have invested interest of making sure that Chloe Zhao, I'm sorry, Chloe Zhao, if I'm saying your name wrong, I'm just going to say Chloe Zhao. I'm pretty sure that they have invested interest in making sure she gets a nomination. Yeah. I don't currently have her at my directors, but that could definitely easily change, because I think that if this film makes its release date, I think almost for sure Eternals is going to move to May, because I think every single Marvel thing is going to move by one. Again, this isn't that conversation, but I think Eternals will open on May 7th. But that could also work for Chloe, because it'll be like, say goodbye to your indie roots as you go on this new chapter of your career. Yeah. Let's give her a nomination. You know, you can hear the kind of awards pitch.
Yeah, and technically, if it does come out in May, that would mean it's only a month after when the Oscars are supposed to be happening.
Oh, yeah, because they moved. Oh, now I think it's almost for sure going to happen.
So I think, yeah, you definitely have a trailer by then, and there'd probably be lots of talks around public interviews.
Yeah. Or I guarantee you they debut the Eternals, maybe a final trailer or a TV spot, or maybe some cool character reveal at the Oscars. I guarantee Disney pays for that.
Yeah, because isn't the Oscars and ABC, they show it?
Yep, they own it.
They own it, yep. So that would be a good idea from them. What's your number 6?
I didn't write them in order, which was really I should have done that.
No worries.
So I think it's my number 6, right?
Yeah.
Dune.
Did you do your 7? Right, you did.
Yeah, it was Stillwater, wasn't it?
You had Stillwater and Chicago 7, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to say Dune, and I'm only putting Dune on here because Arrival. Arrival got a Best Picture nomination, but Blade Runner 2049 did not, and those were 2 Denis Villeneuve films. Also, Sicario did not, Prisoners did not, Enemy did not. I don't know, but Dune doesn't look particularly good to me, but I think it can be very good. I've read the book. I've seen the other abomination of a film, which is truly like horrible.
Yeah.
But I think Dune has massive potential. I'm just not sure if it's going to be taken seriously. I would like it to. I would like it to be really good because I want Rebecca Ferguson to get that recognition.
Yeah.
But I just have major pause with Dune because Blade Runner 2049, along with I, Tonya, should have been nominated for Best Picture. Like, if movies like Darkest Hour, Phantom Thread, and Dunkirk can beat you, why did you pay all that money for an awards campaign? That was just a waste of money if that's the case.
And
so
the
Dune
Post.
is trust for, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. The Post got nominated that year too.
Oh, The Post! Oh my God, that movie was horrible.
Yeah.
I hated that movie. I actually genuinely thought it was terrible. Like,
yeah, that's just Spielberg.
Must have had his assistant directed or something.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of it, but Dune is also my number 6.
Cool.
Yeah, so I think you're right. Villeneuve pretty much only has a rival for Oscar credibility, but I don't know. It seems like a I don't know why Blade Runner didn't get nominated. Maybe it was a more crowded year, but then again, the Academy messed up the nominations anyway.
It was not a crowded year. It definitely could have gotten it.
Yeah, but the story here is iconic. It's pretty much, I think, lots of people think the most iconic sci-fi novel. And the screenplay is by Eric Roth. He worked with Villeneuve on it. He's done a lot of Oscar movies. He did Forrest Gump, Benjamin Button, recently A Star Is Born. So I think there's an adapted screenplay. I think it's got a good shot in there. And it also has a great ensemble cast, so it probably would get a nomination for that. But it's really depending on if he can stick the landing, because no one's really stuck a Dune adaptation landing yet. But Villeneuve, he hasn't, in my opinion, made really a bad film yet. And he doesn't make mainstream films, so I think it's going to be a very intellectual film. The Academy will like that. So I think it's got a good shot. And I think it's like we've said before, Fury Road-esque. Going to get a lot of tech nominations. So if it gets a bunch of tech nominations, I think that would mean it has a pretty good shot at Best Picture nomination.
But here's the thing with that. Mad Max Fury Road has something that I think Dune has, but I'm not sure if it does, and that was Charlize Theron, an Oscar winner. I don't think anyone in Dune has actually won an Oscar.
Hasn't Javier Bardem?
Yep. Okay, I completely forgot he was in the movie.
The only one.
Okay. But here's the thing, though, with Dune. It has a very good cast, and a cast that fandom really likes, and that the Academy could like.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they just completely reject a movie, and sometimes audiences really reject a movie. And I worry about Dune's box office because every single person in the film, while really talented and while really, really good, outside of comic book movies or franchise movies, have never made a successful film in their lifetimes. I think the only exception would be I don't even think Rebecca Ferguson or Oscar Isaac would count because they were in franchise movies. So yeah, they don't count.
If you count Brolin as Thanos, technically.
Yeah, Brolin was Thanos, and he was Cable, and he was in Sicario. Oh, well, Sicario didn't do well either.
But that's
he did
okay.
okay.
Technically, he wasn't like the main draw.
That was Emily Blunt, and that also makes sense why that movie didn't make money because people don't pay to see Emily Blunt, which is very sad.
Unless it's a quiet.
Yep. Unless it's a quiet.
If it was releasing in time, I would probably have that on the list just because I love an honorable mention. I love that movie so much.
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's your 5, right?
Yes. So my number 5 is gonna be Tenet. Actually, no. Sorry, it's The Father. Not Tenet. It's The Father.
Oh, cool.
I think this would be like. Sorry?
I have that one for acting stuff, but not picture.
Yeah, I'm thinking it could be like one of those type of movies where like maybe The Two Popes. I think this could either be The Two Popes or it could be a marriage story. I don't have it in director. but I have an actor and actress. But I also think that Marriage Story didn't necessarily deserve Best Picture nomination. I know a lot of people would disagree with me on that, but it's mainly just about, it's like a movie written around characters, and I think that this is going to be the same thing. And so I'm just thinking that since it is really dry out there, I'm thinking people love Olivia Colman, and people really like Sir Anthony Hopkins. So I'm thinking that this could break through. You know, Sony Pictures Classics did Call Me by Your Name, but that's pretty much all they've ever done. Like, they've done some small movies here and there, but nothing that ever hit like that. So we'll see. I think The Father is a lot like The French Dispatch, where it could either really happen or it could really not.
Yeah, it was shown at Sundance earlier this year. And
100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
yeah, and the people who saw it thought it was a very good movie, but I think a lot of the praise went to Hopkins in particular. His performance, they said, was great, and Olivia Colman. I think it could get in there for Best Picture. I would just have to see more, I think, maybe.
Yeah, I think it could work. Okay, what's your number 5? 5, isn't it?
My 5, yes, is West Side Story. Just
wow.
because it's a Spielberg film. I mean, the number here, the 4 of the last 7 films he directed, he got into the Best Picture category, and the other ones weren't Best Picture-esque films like BFG and Ready Player One. So the Academy really does love Spielberg. I mean, The Post got nominated for that.
The Post got that. Like, I don't understand why people keep sucking off Steven Spielberg when he doesn't make good movies anymore. Like, the last good movie I saw from him was it Warhorse or Lincoln? Which one came first?
I think Lincoln is more recent.
Yeah, Lincoln. So Lincoln is the last good movie. Like, Ready Player One was like borderline unwatchable except for the Shining sequence, and The Post was just in general unwatchable. So yeah, I think you're probably right, but I think that movie, it could be DOA, which would make me very pleased.
Yeah, it's the whole Ansel Elgort thing, because it's not like what was that movie? All the Money in the World with Kevin Spacey. Where,
oh yeah, that was actually that was an exceptional film. That was a fantastic
film, yeah. But they could shoot Kevin Spacey out of that role because it was a small supporting role. Ansel Elgort is probably in like pretty much every frame of this film, so you pretty much have to shoot an entirely new film. I don't know if Disney is down to do that. That would be expensive. They would definitely not make back any of its money. I think
I'm almost positive that they would make that call if they could. I think they would have that film reshot completely if it wasn't for COVID. I actually think that would probably happen.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I just don't see Disney being the kind of studio to do that. I think right now they're kind of pulling what Warner Brothers is doing with Ezra Miller. They're like, it'll blow up. That's right. And no one's really talking. We haven't seen much from West Side Story, so there's not much to talk about. But no one's really. I think the Ansel Elgort thing is even more forgotten than the Ezra Miller thing. But then again, everyone likes to bring stuff back up from award season. But another thing is Green Book. That movie had a ton of controversy surrounding it. Like, the family was like, "This is completely untrue," and like a false portrayal of the story, and Viggo Mortensen used the N-word in an interview. There's a lot of stuff going on there, and it still got nominated and won Best Picture. So the Academy has shown before that sometimes they just don't care. But we'll have to see how this one plays out.
Sorry?
I said we'll just have to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, I think things that I have 2 things to say about what you just said. Another film that was handicapped by, like, really, like, Tonya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan, kneecapped by a controversy, but it didn't affect the film, which infuriated me, was Bohemian Rhapsody, because Bohemian Rhapsody should have been nominated for 0 Oscars.
Yes.
It was horrible, like terrible. And the director is literally a pedophile. Like, I don't care if Dexter Fletcher came in and like reshot. Good for Dexter Fletcher. He made a fantastic movie with Rocket Man. But with guild rules Bryan Singer still gave full credit on that film. And even though everyone disowned him and disavowed him, he still had to shoot at least 75% of what was on screen for him to get that credit. So it's his movie. And again, I still enjoy his X-Men films and stuff like that. I think they're phenomenal. But he still made a horrible Bohemian Rhapsody, like a Freddie Mercury movie. It was just god-awful. But you know what? It still went on to win. So you could be right. You could be onto something. West Side Story could be a horrible movie. It probably will be, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And it could have really bad controversy, but it could still be nominated for all these awards. I think that's likely because Hollywood is full of hypocrites.
Yeah. And, I mean, recently there have been iconic movies, like they loved the first West Side Story, won a ton of Oscars, just like they loved the previous A Star is Born, and the most recent one got a ton of nominations too. That one also didn't have a lead actor who has sexual allegations against him.
No, but I think there's one small thing as well that you're maybe missing about West Side Story, which is why I hope it's DOA, and that is a little film called In the Heights.
Yes, but that's not this year.
Well, I think that In the Heights should have opened this year. I think it was a really bad idea to move to next year. But I think that film could be a really big summer hit. I think it could make a lot of money. I think it could make a lot of money. But I also think that it could have absolutely destroyed West Side Story with articles and public perception. Absolutely 100% destroyed that movie.
I think even before this Ansel Elgort thing, if everything was planned, I think In the Heights would have probably been a bigger contender than West Side Story, simply because it's not a remake. But it's all, and also Lin-Manuel Miranda, I can never say his name, but if
Manuel, right?
If Hamilton is any sign, which got so much love from different awards groups, but I think that film could have been a big contender. I don't know about now.
Yeah. The thing with me though is that I quite dislike Lin-Manuel Miranda's work so far in Hollywood. But to be fair, I haven't watched Hamilton on Disney Plus yet, so that'll probably change my mind about him entirely. But I thought he was pretty terrible in Mary Poppins Returns. I thought the music he did for Moana was mediocre at best. But I'm still open to have my mind changed on him because everyone, and I mean everyone on Earth, loves him to pieces. And I feel like I'm the only one who doesn't see anything there. But I could be dead wrong, so I'm going to watch Hamilton soon. And I could be on that train forever.
I had similar thoughts as you, and then I saw Hamilton, and I was like, okay. I get the hype. But what is your number 4, right?
Tenet.
Yes.
Yeah. So Tenet is probably, I think Tenet could actually win Best Picture under the condition that it opens cinemas and it opens cinemas successfully. If The New Mutants comes out and makes $400 million on its opening weekend, it's never going to happen. Well, if that happens for The New Mutants, then it could probably wrangle a Best Picture nomination because whatever film manages to bring back Hollywood, that manages to pump money back into the system, is going to get good reviews no matter what, and it is going to be praised, and it is going to be nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. And I'm just thinking right now the likely film is Tenet. I think another likely film that could do it would be Wonder Woman 1984. And considering the awards campaign that they did try for the first film, I'm still thinking that maybe Wonder Woman 1984 could compete at this Oscars if it opens cinemas successfully with a big boom and everyone's back and everyone's happy. But for now, I think it's going to be Tenet. I think you got Christopher Nolan. If Dunkirk is going to be nominated, which I think is his worst movie, and I hate that movie, I think it's really bad. But if that can be nominated, I think Tenet can for sure be nominated. Even over the past few years, we've seen this embrace of genre filmmaking with Get Out. We saw it with Joker. And I think there have been a few other movies as well, but I can't really think. Something like Black Panther, which I also think shouldn't have been nominated. But it was still a genre film that got accepted. And I think that Tenet could, especially with John David Washington. The best part about Black Klansman, and we could be talking about something like Black Klansman pretty soon.
Yeah.
And we also got Robert Pattinson, Elizabeth Debicki, who I love. Widows was underrated. But there's one teeny tiny little thing that could. I don't think it's going to happen, but Mr. Kenneth Branagh needs to get his stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus, man, like what are you doing? Like, he is so lucky that he has Death on the Nile, because Artemis Fowl would, rightfully so, kill anyone's career. And if I'm being honest, Thor, Cinderella, and Murder on the Orient Express should have killed his career, because they were all horrible, except for Murder on the Orient Express, which was okay. But, I mean, come on, man. Like, he is so good at Christopher Nolan cast. Sorry?
I like Thor and Cinderella, but...
Oh, okay. Well, then look, then it's just my opinion, but I think a lot of people share my opinion because, I don't know, I just really hate Thor. But look, we'll see. I don't think that he's going to affect the movie because I think it looks like he's barely in it, so it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, I don't actually have it on my list right now, or even in honorable mentions. Just because I think the Academy usually only likes to honor one genre-esque film a year. I think they usually like to go overboard with that.
Oh yeah, New Dune, yeah.
I think Dune, personally, if it comes out in time, has a better shot at getting nominations. I think Tenet is more likely to get Christopher Nolan love, probably, than Best Picture love. But if Dune was moved to next December, then I think Tenet would probably take its spot on that list.
The big question with Tenet is it an Inception or is it an Interstellar?
Yeah.
Because if it's an Interstellar, first off, I'd be very disappointed because Interstellar was also not good. But if it's an Inception, then I think it has nothing to worry about. It all depends on the actual quality of the movie. Surprise, surprise. Hollywood hates to hear that they have to make good movies to get Oscars.
Yeah. Most of the time, unless you're like Spielberg. But my number 4 is a film called Ammonite.
Okay. I know that movie, yeah.
Yeah. Takes place in, like, I think 1840 England. It stars Saoirse Ronan and Kate Winslet, and they're pretty much, I think Kate Winslet's like a, I forget what her job is, like,
coal miner or something?
Archaeologist, I think, or something like that. And Saoirse Ronan is like a sick woman who like has to stay in her house or something, and eventually they become lovers, sort of like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, except in English, so that means the Academy could show a lot more love. And I think simply for the fact that I think it will most definitely have Kate Winslet and Saoirse Ronan nominated, I think it has a good shot of being nominated for Best Picture, and I think it would be a good apology for the Academy to nominate it because they showed Portrait of a Lady on Fire zero love.
I think it would be a crime for this film to get nominated and then like just ignore the far better French film, you know?
Yeah, that's the way it is. Sadly, like The Departed got so many Oscars, but like Infernal Affairs, forget that film.
And Fatal Affairs is better in my opinion. I think that's a fantastic movie. But I like the Martin Scorsese version too. With Ammonite or whatever, however you say it, I just think that sometimes a movie hits, like say sometimes a movie like The Favourite hits, and then something pretty similar to it, like Mary Queen of Scots, does not hit. I think this is a Mary Queen of Scots. I think it's a very tired movie. I think I could watch Carol, or I could watch like whatever the hell. I could just get my fix there. Like, this seems too TV to me. It seems very been there, done that. I feel like I just feel like I've seen this film so many times, and I've zero interest in seeing it again. But you know what? Hollywood loves a formula. You're probably right, but I don't have it anywhere. No.
I think it's a riskier choice of mine because I think it is definitely a film that could like just go completely unnoticed. I forget who's directing it. It's not some like a director who the Academy has nominated a bunch of times. But I think it has a shot. I think if those two lead actresses deliver great performances, which they both are very capable of. I think it's got a good shot. But like we were talking about with The Father, it could be a Two Popes and it gets those two nominations.
Yes. I think there's one thing with that film. If that film has anything to accomplish, that's if this movie can make an awards campaign, it should very much be give Saoirse Ronan a goddamn Oscar already. Like, she's literally become a mini Glenn Close with, I think, two less nominations than her. But she will likely be nominated for this film, supporting actress. And it's like 5 times. You're gonna snub her 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on. You keep nominating her. She's stuck in this space.
Yeah.
Give her an Oscar. I think that's the only way this film could succeed in getting a major win.
Yeah.
So that's
I think very much so. We're not going to talk about it yet. But for supporting actress, I think it's very much so a battle of Glenn Close versus Saoirse Ronan, who deserves their first Oscar more. I think they're probably going to go with Close because he has much time left on this earth.
Saoirse Ronan will probably, although you know what this movie is a lot like? It's a bit like On Cecil Beach, which was a film that came out in 2018 with Saoirse Ronan and Donald Gleason. And it's basically the straight version of this movie. It's just it's kind of like the inverse. It's like a period piece. You know, there's like on a beach stuff like that. Clearly from the title. I don't know. Maybe it seems like one of them, like small movies rather than a small movie that becomes a big movie. Who knows?
Yeah,
it could. You're right to put it on. I just think it's such a type movie. Like, come on, try.
It's a wild.
Well,
it's definitely a wild card right now.
Yeah, a very boring wild card, but definitely a wild card. You're right.
So is your 3 next, right?
Yeah, my 3. So my number 3 is a film that I haven't seen yet, but I do actually plan on watching it tomorrow. I wanted to wait until closer to award season to watch The Five Bloods. But I really wanted to savor it because I wanted to kind of separate myself from the initial hype. Because that's what I did with Black Klansman, and then I actually didn't like Black Klansman. But The Five Bloods, I think, it's just about goddamn time I watched it already. And I think it gives a very strong chance, particularly an actor. But also Best Picture, I think it's a lock. It's a lock for Best Picture to get low. So The Five Bloods, I don't really think there's anything else to say, especially since I haven't seen it. But The Five Bloods, number 3, Best Picture probably, yeah.
Since we already went over my number 3, which is Trial of Chicago 7, The Five Bloods is my number 2. I think it's, like you said, it's most definitely a lock. I mean, the fact that Spike Lee can make a film like this before everything that's happening today, and it can be so relevant without him even being able to predict the future, it just shows how in touch he is. And it's also the only thing on this list right now that's pretty much this year so far that is an Oscar-type, Oscar bait-esque film that we've actually seen and that we know is good and that most people like. Some of these films can come out and they seem like great Oscar packages, but like The Goldfinch last year, lots of people early on were like, Oscar could.
And you remember The Mountain Between Us? That Kate Winslet, Idris Elba film?
Yeah, and then it comes out and it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It flops and it's gone. But we know this one is a good movie, so I think that pretty much secures it. I think it's a contender in pretty much every category, like editing, some sound stuff maybe, screenplay maybe, I don't know about that, but picture, definitely actor. The cinematography was great, so I think when you get that many nominations, and you're that timely, for most movies that release in June when the Oscars are now in April, I think they'd probably be forgotten. But I don't think there's any way people are going to let this film get forgotten. Yeah,
he has an Alfonso Cuarón type awards story as well. What he had with Rome, I think he has that with The Five Bloods. With how nobody would make the movie, I think the fact that nobody would make the movie is definitely going to catapult it to maybe even win, especially since everything that happened in America that just blew up. I think that Hollywood's definitely going to say, I'm sorry, let's just embrace films like this. So I think it's definitely going to happen. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. So that was my number 2. So what's your number 2 then?
My number 2 is Mank. the David Fincher film about Citizen Kane. I think that's all they have to say.
Yeah,
Like, there's nothing else to say. Mank it'll probably win. So that's my number 2. What's your number 1?
Yeah, that's my number 1. Definitely. I think it's the biggest. It's just such an Oscar film. Like, David Fincher, first of all, he hasn't won an Oscar yet. So the Academy probably feels like they owe him some recognition.
That's insane. They owe him.
They definitely owe him. Which we'll get to in director. But it follows the screenwriter of Citizen Kane, Herman, I can never say his last name, Mankiewicz or whatever. And like there's a lot of debate and fighting between him and Orson Welles over like who got the credit for writing it. And it's also a script. This film, David Fincher's father wrote it. Father died like I think a decade ago, but now he is adapting the script from his father, which I think makes for a good campaign story. And it's also just such an Oscar film. It's a film about Hollywood, which I love, and the whole Hollywood process. And it's also not just a film about Hollywood. It's a film about Citizen Kane, which probably many of the Academy members think is the best film of all time, which it isn't, but lots of people think. So I think it's a huge contender.
Okay, so do you know what my number 1 is?
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a wild bet. I'm not sure if it's going to win, but I think if I'm being honest, it's the only film that I could be so wrong. It could be like a Judy.
I'm so
But Respect is a film that I just think looks phenomenal. And it's releasing for Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend. Like, whoever made that decision, sir, you are going to make a lot of money, because Respect is going to make a lot of money. And I think that we're going to get to actress. I think that it's definitely a lock for actress for nation. But I don't know what it is about Respect. It's energetic than Judy. It's more stylish than Bohemian Rhapsody, and it just looks better than Rocket Man. And especially with the fact that it's about a struggling black woman trying to make it in the Hollywood industry, I think that is something that definitely benefits it in 2020.
Yeah.
So it's a risky bet. I unfortunately had to take Liesl Tommy out of the director running. I am sorry, Miss Tommy. I do think that your day will come. And I think that it could be this year. I think Respect looks absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, Respect is my number 1.
That surprised me. That is that's a good pick. I personally, right now at least, am viewing it like a Judy. Where I think
which was horrible.
Yeah, I didn't like that film. Yeah, I think Renee Zellweger's performance was overhyped, but I think right now is probably one of those kind of films where film itself is like good, sort of like Harry too. It's a good film, but the performance is the stuff that stands out. The biopic space, the only huge right now within the recent years one would be Bohemian Rhapsody. Rocket Man sadly didn't get much love. I don't think it got a single nomination.
It got for God's sake, it got original song.
You don't count that here. It freaking won that.
And it was not only is it not a memorable song, but it's also a bad song. Like, it's a horrible song. Like, I just couldn't believe that. They could
have performed that live. Especially I think it was after Cynthia Erivo. It's like,
Cynthia Erivo, she not only took the house down, but oh my God, Cynthia Erivo, I mean, there's no chance she's ever watching this, but like Cynthia Erivo, I wanted you to win an Oscar ever since I watched Bad Times at the El Royale. And the fact that they were this close, but they gave it to a man who already has an Oscar. Like, oh my God, I just can't get over it. Like, I can't get over it. It's the biggest Oscar travesty, in my opinion, that I've ever witnessed. I woke my sister up when I found out, because again, like, it's really late here. At least I think I woke her up. I'm not sure if I did. I probably didn't, now that I think about it. But I feel like I did, because I feel like my anger was that big. But yeah, so Respect. I have enough faith and respect in you that you will get a Best Picture nomination.
Yeah. It's a bold prediction, but I like it. So before we get into the other categories, do you want to just run down our list super quickly again?
Yep. You go first.
Okay. So my honorable mentions right now are Next Goal Wins, On the Rocks, News of the World, and Soul. And then at 8, I have French Dispatch. 7, I have Nomadland. 6, I have Dune. 5, I have tentatively West Side Story. 4, I have Ammonite. 3, Trial of Chicago 7. 2 to 5 Bloods. And 1, I have Name.
For me, I kind of didn't write these in order, so I'm probably going to mess it up. But I had Candyman. I have Red, White, and Water. I have Stillwater. Dune. No. The Trial of the Chicago 7. The Father. Dune. The 5 Tenets. The 5 Bloods. Mank. And Respect.
Awesome. Okay, everyone. So those are our predictions in late July for the Oscars in next April. Obviously, probably come a later show, these will be very different. Who knows? Even if there will be an Oscars in April. But right now, as of July, whatever day it is, 26th, 27th, these are our predictions for Best Picture at the 2021 Oscars. There you go.